Hello, Carol Martine, welcoming you back to my studio. Today, I want to talk about Just for Me, my adventure in learning watercolor, trying to understand it for me, trying to have it make sense to me, to see what it does, what happens with water and pigment. And since this is just for me, I thought I would take a moment to look back at our last 3 projects and now this page. Something niggled at me and I decided that I wasn't sure where I wanted to go here. So I went back into my stash of watercolors and I thought I'd look at my learning process a little more closely. I dug and dug and found these. These gave me food for thought. If you will notice, on January 26th, last year, I did this orchid. Now, by my level of experience a year ago January, I was quite happy with this orchid. I looked at it now and said, I'm particularly tickled with this turn section, probably because of the power of the pigment, the depth of color. And then I looked at these petals and said, I wonder what will happen if I consider these an undercoat, and using the experience that I've gotten since January 15, add more color, add some depth of color to this. After all, why not? Anything works if it teaches us about art. So that is a possibility. I'm thinking of working right on this piece and seeing what we can make it out of it to bring it up to equal the quality of this area. I then went all the way up to August 18th last year and looked at this expressive white rose. Now, at that point in my journey, I was quite tickled with this, and I probably have to admit that I still am. However, I'm thinking I'm going to give this a redo to see what happens when I add the knowledge that I've gained since last August to this piece. So I thought I might do a redo of this as my inspiration and try it in my journal. This is certainly a trip down memory lane. Next, in the same month, on August 20th, I decided to get bold and crazy and just fling on the colors in an expressive way. They are bold, but there was something about, I guess there was something about my drawing, or because there was a light pencil sketch. If I look very closely, I can see a little bit of a pencil sketch just for areas on here. I don't see any sign of pencil sketch under the leaves, so they were just add-ons. Now, to be very honest, I'm happy with the colors. I am particularly tickled with the colors in the purple one. I like that little leaf. I like the start of this one. Not so much the background. Well, I tried it again. On August 26th, I tried, as you can see, similar colors, this time with the, excuse me, this time with the petals a little bit more sensible, and letting, again, starting to try to let the pigment and the water work its will. I'm really feel that I'm seeing an improvement in the work between this one and this one as I'm starting to understand expressive watercolor. While I was flipping through and thinking about what I would share with you, I turned this one over, and lo and behold, look what I found. Obviously, I had done a quick sketch of a flower, branch, leaves, and for some reason didn't go any further. But it's pretty loose and expressive, and I'm thinking that I'm going to take some time out from the Just For Me journal and do this just for me, employing the things that I've learned and some of the things, of course, that I've shared with you on this flower, and indeed to work on this background. So that is going to be coming back soon. I really can't wait to play here. On October 10th last year, I really had been watching some YouTube videos, as you can see, and really decided that I needed to try no sketch, just put the water down there, put the pigment, and see what I could do. This flower was fun. I like it a lot. But it set me on I think I could say that this one set me on a happy path because I'm particularly happy with the leaves. If you'll notice, I added some of the rose color here into the leaf. I just added some additions of the pink in the flower to the background, and I thought I would share that one with you. As you can see, I'm starting on the path toward expressive watercolor. Not sure here that I really was liking it yet, but I was on the path. Now, this month, on the 13th, I tried with a snippet of watercolor paper to try letting the water draw the picture so that each one of these areas was painted with water, and then watercolor pigment added to the section before I went on. It was great fun, and in order to show more of what I did here, this half of the flower and these two leaves, I outlined in very microfine black pen. There was no drawing and no pen to start. This was done totally by drawing with water. I've learned something about this technique that I want to retry again and again, because you'll notice it is quite easy to maintain the white on your subject. This was great fun. Goodness, I'm forgetting how to work my Zoom again. I'll do better, I promise. This one, or something similar, will certainly go back in the journal. This was a page in my scrappy journal that I had shared with you. And this was a piece of watercolor that I had done last year on 6/20, in which I was thinking, let me see what I can do to be less delicate, to be more assertive with my addition of colors. And these 3 flowers came out. I also used a rather bold background. So I thought this might be fun to add to this page as a flip out. So that left me with this. I then decided to try my hand at similar coloration, but being completely expressive. There was no pencil, no pen before water and watercolor pigment. This was great fun doing. If you'll notice, I even decided to drag it over here. This center of this flower, if you will notice, has many shades in it, and it could have been a colossal mess, but it turned out not to be. I think the reason that this worked and that I'm happy with it is because I took time to dry it between adding different layers of color. I could have waited for it to air dry, but I'm impatient, so of course I used my dryer. This is my current trial at expressive watercolor, and I decided to use that ultra fine Uniball, Signo Uniball that I have just purchased, to just outline a little bit in here and there to give more force to the shape of the flower. But looking at it as a whole, I think it was a fun addition to this page in my scrappy journal. Now, I've also dug deeply into my trove and found these 2 watercolors. These were 2 watercolors that were part of a larger piece that I did here in Jacksonville in a watercolor class that I was working in before I decided to try mixed media, and of course fell totally in love. They're incomplete, they're underpaintings, but I'm thinking that I'm going to do more to each of these, probably this one first. Probably this one first, because it will be great fun to add some of the things I've learned, to add depth of color, shading, use of water, etc. And then I'll go to this one and, just for me, make myself happy by seeing what I can do to bring this to the fore. I do believe that the white on this and here, and the little, on the flowers, not here, but on the flowers, I do believe I used mask. I'm not sure. It's a few years ago. I certainly didn't here. Here I was careful, and I was using a heavy shot of watercolor pigment on dry paper, because that way it doesn't spread like it's crazy, as watercolor can do sometimes, and it left me some of this negative space. So, just for me, I'm going to go down the road and work on this one, and then this one. I also found this one. Here again, part of a piece that I did in that watercolor class. I enjoyed it. It's pretty. It's something that I can be proud of. And as you can see, I was really willing to have depth of color, which just absolutely calls to my soul. I love watercolor that has this much oomph. These orchids make me very happy, and I'm going to I think I'm going to put these right on the wall in front of me as my inspiration. This will be my watercolor muse on paper. And the last thing I wanted to share today is this that I found down at the very bottom of my drawer. I thought, oh my, I must have saved this for a reason. And yes, I guess I certainly did. Look at the possibilities here for practice in the Just For Me journal. Sectioning off areas, learning how to do this lily, because a white lily is not white, and if one looks very closely, you see grays and some greens, brownish colors. Wouldn't this be fun? So, I took my trip down memory lane with these and some of the projects that I will be planning for the future. I hope that you will join me as we move to our next piece on this pile of goodies. In fact, I think the very next lesson will be giving this some of the warmth and strength that, well, it's gone forever. Isn't that incredible? Oh, there it is. That I see here. I'd like to add that. I'd like to bring some more of that to this. The pizzazz from here into this one. If you have enjoyed this trip that I've taken into my watercolor past and my plans for Just For Me in the future, I hope you will give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. See you again very soon, in which we will try to do something for this very insipid orchid. Bye now.